Meet Samantha, a teenager in a crowded Atlanta neighborhood with nothing but dreams bigger than her tiny bedroom. While other kids her age spent money on games, on the latest trends, she spent hers on fabric scraps, thrift store finds, little pieces of possibility. To some it looked silly, foolish even. But to her, every scrap, every stitch was hope taking shape. Every day she would sit at her small table, cutting, stitching, creating handbags with nothing but patience and imagination. Her friends laughed. Teachers didn't understand. But she kept going. Each stitch was a quiet rebellion, a message to herself. I will make something of myself. She didn't have fancy tools. She didn't have big money, but she had something far more powerful: passion. And passion has a way of turning scraps into dreams, and dreams into a future. This is the story of a girl who started with nothing and refused to let the world tell her what she couldn't do. A girl who believed that small beginnings can become extraordinary endings. This is just the beginning. Then came the first order, just one small sale. A single bag sent to a stranger she had never met. It wasn't much, but to Samantha it meant everything. The thrill of being seen, the proof that her work mattered, it lit a fire in her heart. She carefully packaged the bag, tying it with a ribbon, imagining the smile on the other side. When she clicked send, she felt a surge of hope. This wasn't just a hobby anymore. This was the start of something real. Her friends still laughed. They didn't understand why one little sale made her eyes shine. But Samantha knew the truth. Every empire starts with a single step. Every success starts with belief in yourself, even when no one else believes. That small order was more than a sale. It was validation. It was a whisper from the universe saying, "Keep going." And she did. She studied harder, worked longer, and stitched with more care than ever before. Because success isn't about luck, it's about persistence. It's about showing up again and again, even when the world doubts you. And in that tiny package, sent across the city, Samantha discovered something powerful. Her passion could become her purpose, and her dreams could become reality. That first sale felt like victory. But victory doesn't erase the struggle. After the excitement faded, reality returned. Orders didn't suddenly flood in. Days passed, then weeks. The notifications stayed silent. Samantha refreshed her page over and over again, hoping for another order. Nothing. Doubt began to whisper. Maybe it was just luck. Maybe it was a one-time thing. Maybe they were right. Her friends still laughed. Some called it a phase. Others said she should focus on something more realistic, something safer. But what they didn't see were the long nights, the failed designs thrown into the corner, the crooked stitches she had to undo, the photos she posted that got almost no likes. She questioned herself more than anyone else ever could. Was she good enough? Was her dream too big for a girl with scraps and secondhand fabric? There were nights she sat in silence, staring at her unfinished work, feeling the weight of frustration pressing on her chest. But then, she would pick up the needle again. Because deep down, she understood something powerful. Success doesn't show up just because you want it. It shows up because you refuse to quit. Every mistake became a lesson. Every rejection became fuel. Every silent day became training for the storm she was preparing to survive. This wasn't just about handbags anymore. It was about proving to herself that she could endure the silence, the doubt, the slow progress. Because the difference between those who dream and those who build is resilience. And Samantha was learning how to fight through the quiet. The silence didn't break her. It built her. After all the doubt, all the slow days, all the nights questioning herself, Samantha realized something important. If no one was seeing her work, maybe she needed to learn how to make them see it. She stopped waiting for orders. She stopped refreshing the page, and she started studying. While others were scrolling for fun, she was scrolling for knowledge. Marketing, branding, photography, social media strategy. She watched tutorials late into the night, notebook open, writing down every idea. She learned how lighting could change everything, how storytelling could sell more than a product, how consistency builds trust. She didn't just want to make bags anymore. She wanted to build a brand. Her small bedroom became more than a workspace. It became a classroom, a laboratory, a launch pad. She experimented with angles, turning her phone into a camera studio. She rearranged her room to catch better sunlight. She practiced taking photos over and over until they looked professional. Every mistake from before, now it made sense. The low likes weren't rejection, they were feedback. The silence wasn't failure, it was preparation. And something inside her shifted. She was no longer just a girl hoping for success, she was becoming a young entrepreneur building it. Because dreams don't grow by chance. They grow when you decide to grow with them. And Samantha had just made that decision. And then, something changed. This time, when Samantha posted her new photos, the silence didn't last as long. A few likes turned into comments. Comments turned into shares. Shares turned into questions. Where can I buy this? Do you ship outside the city? When is the next collection dropping? Her phone began to buzz more often, not constantly, but consistently. And consistency is where momentum is born. She watched her numbers slowly climb. Not viral, not explosive, just steady, real, earned. Every improved photo, every thoughtful caption, every late-night lesson was working. The girl who once refreshed her page in disappointment was now refreshing it in disbelief. Another order, then another, then 3 in one day. It wasn't luck. It was preparation meeting opportunity. One afternoon, an email appeared in her inbox. A small local boutique had seen her work online. They wanted to feature her handbags in their store. She read it 3 times, just to be sure it was real. This was different. This wasn't just strangers buying online. This was a door opening. The same hands that once stitched in doubt were now shaking with excitement. But instead of celebrating too long, she got back to work. Because she understood something powerful now. Breakthroughs don't come to people who wish. They come to people who prepare. And Samantha had been preparing in silence. The laughter that once echoed around her, it grew quieter. The belief inside her, it grew louder. This wasn't the finish line. It was proof. Proof that growth is slow until one day it isn't. And Samantha was just getting started. The breakthrough felt incredible, but success comes with weight. More orders meant more responsibility, deadlines, expectations, customers waiting. What once felt exciting now felt overwhelming. Her small bedroom studio was no longer enough. Fabric covered the floor, boxes stacked against the walls. Her tiny table could barely hold the demand. For the first time, Samantha realized something powerful. If she wanted her dream to grow, she had to grow with it. So she made a decision that scared her. She invested in herself. She saved every profit, cut personal expenses, and rented a small workspace across town. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't perfect, but it was hers. The day she stepped inside that empty room, she didn't just see walls, she saw potential. She bought better tools, stronger machines, higher quality materials. Every dollar reinvested back into the vision. And then, she hired help. Letting someone else touch her designs wasn't easy. This business had been her baby. Every stitch carried her fingerprints. But leadership isn't about doing everything alone. It's about building something bigger than yourself. She trained her first assistant patiently, teaching not just how to sew, but how to care. Because this was no longer just about making handbags, it was about building a brand. Late nights didn't stop. The pressure didn't disappear. In fact, it increased. But so did her confidence. The girl who once stitched in silence was now managing schedules, negotiating prices, planning collections. She wasn't just surviving anymore, she was scaling. Because growth demands courage, and Samantha had just stepped into the next level of her becoming. Growth is beautiful, but growth attracts attention, and attention attracts competition. As Samantha's brand began to rise, something shifted. New businesses started appearing online, similar designs, similar colors, even similar captions. At first, she ignored it, but then customers began asking questions. Why is this one cheaper? Is this your brand? Did you copy them? The excitement of scaling quickly turned into tension. For the first time, success didn't feel safe. It felt threatened. Late at night, she scrolled through competitors' pages, comparing numbers, comparing comments, comparing everything. And doubt whispered, "Maybe they're better. Maybe this was luck. Maybe you've reached your limit." The machines in her studio were running, but her mind was racing louder. Orders were higher, expectations were bigger, mistakes were more costly. One delayed shipment brought complaints. One stitching error brought refunds. Pressure doesn't just test your skill, it tests your belief. There was a moment, quiet and heavy, when she sat alone in the studio after everyone had left. The room that once symbolized victory now felt like responsibility. She stared at her reflection in the dark window and asked herself the hardest question. Can I truly lead this? And then she remembered something. Competition means you're visible. Pressure means you're valuable. And doubt only visits people who are stepping into something greater. So instead of shrinking, she studied. She improved her designs. She strengthened her branding. She focused on what made her different, not what made her similar. Because real growth isn't about being the only one. It's about being the authentic one. And this wasn't just a business anymore, it was her legacy in motion. And she wasn't about to fold under pressure. Pressure didn't break her, it refined her. After choosing focus over fear, something shifted. Her new collection launched with confidence, cleaner designs, stronger branding, sharper identity. This time, she wasn't competing, she was defining. And then, the email came. Subject line, partnership inquiry. A well-known lifestyle retailer had noticed her brand online. They loved the story, they loved the craftsmanship, and they wanted a meeting. Her heart raced. This wasn't a small boutique, this was national exposure. For a brief second, doubt tried to return. What if you're not ready? What if they see your flaws? But she remembered the nights she cried in silence, the bedroom studio, the empty workspace, the competition that forced her to grow. She wasn't the same woman anymore. The meeting day arrived. She walked into the room not as a girl with a dream, but as a founder with proof. She presented her journey, her numbers, her vision, not perfectly, but confidently. And when the retailer's director leaned back and said, "We believe in your brand," it wasn't just validation, it was confirmation. She hadn't just survived pressure, she had earned her place.
Thank you.
And this opportunity? It wasn't luck. It was preparation meeting courage. The handshake was firm, but the impact was life-changing. What started as a late-night dream in a cramped bedroom was now stepping onto a national stage. Weeks later, her collection launched inside the retailer's stores. Clean shelves, bright lights, her brand name printed boldly on display tags. Samantha walked into one of the locations quietly. No announcement, no spotlight. Just her, standing a few feet away from the display. She watched as a customer picked up one of her handbags, turned it slowly, smiled, and placed it in their shopping basket. In that moment, everything slowed down. The nights of doubt, the comparison, the fear of competition, the pressure to lead, it all replayed in her mind like scenes from another lifetime. But this wasn't luck. This was resilience made visible. Her phone began buzzing, friends sending photos from different store locations. "We saw your brand! This is huge! You did it!" But the biggest victory wasn't the shelf space. It wasn't the partnership. It was the transformation. She wasn't the girl who hoped anymore. She was the woman who built. Standing there, watching a stranger choose her creation, she realized something powerful. Success isn't loud when it's real. It's quiet, certain, grounded. And as she walked out of that store into the sunlight, she didn't feel pressure anymore. She felt purpose. Because this wasn't the finish line. It was proof. Proof that when passion meets discipline, dreams don't just survive, they scale. She stood in the sunlight, not as someone who made it overnight, but as someone who refused to quit. And if you're watching this, wondering if your dream is too small, too late, or too impossible, let me tell you something. I started in a bedroom. No investors, no connections, no applause, just passion and pressure. There were nights I questioned everything, days I compared myself to everyone, moments I almost convinced myself to stop. But here's what I learned. Dreams don't die because they're impossible. They die because we get tired of fighting for them. Competition will come, doubt will whisper, pressure will test you, but none of that decides your future. You do. Every late night, every mistake, every improvement, it all compounds. And one day, what felt invisible becomes undeniable. I'm not special. I was just consistent. I wasn't fearless. I was committed. So if you're building something quietly, if you're doubting yourself in the dark, if nobody sees your effort yet, keep going. Because the same pressure that feels heavy today is building the strength you'll need tomorrow. This isn't the end of my story. It's proof that yours can begin. So don't shrink. Don't compare. Don't quit. Build. If this story moved you, if you see yourself somewhere in her journey, then this is your sign. Start where you are. Build with what you have. Grow through what you face. Your beginning doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be brave. The world may not clap at first, but if you stay consistent, one day they won't be able to ignore you. Your dream is waiting. Build it.